This video is about using your TI-83 or 84 finance app to calculate the values on the finance problems from Unit 4 Homework 6. It will speed up your process or let you have a way to check your answers. Let's start with an example. Suppose we are going to deposit $2,000 for 2 years at 8% compounded semi-annually. I've read the problem and identified all the variables and then put those variables into our compound formula here and done the calculation carefully with my calculator, being sure that I use parentheses around this part and also parentheses around the multiplication that's in my exponent if I don't do that in my head. If I can do it in my head, then I just raise it to the 4th power. And we get this as a result, which we round to pennies, which is $2,339.72. Now, I'm going to show you the words that go along with this, and then I'm going to show you on the calculator. So, as far as the procedure, we're going to find the apps button, which is the 3rd row, 2nd button in, and when I click that, first turn my calculator on. When I click the app button, I choose finance, and my first choice on the calculate menu is TVM solver, and that is time value of money solver. Choose 1 again. Now I need to put these numbers in specifically for each individual problem. N is the number of times that you're going to get money into this account, and that is found from our exponent. We multiply N times T, and that gives us the number for N that we use in our application here. Interest rate is put in as without the decimal, so 8% is put in as an 8. PV is present value, so the present value or the principal, we might think of this as our P, but think of that as the present value, because remember what we're looking for here is what will be. So we are looking for future value on this one. We don't have payments on these types of problems. That's for annuities. Our future value, that's what we're looking for. We put a 0 in there. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. There's my 4 and I hit enter. My 8 is there, enter. My 2000 is there, enter. I'm going to put 0 in for my future value because I'm calculating that. My pays per year or periods per year and compoundings per year need to be the same, and it is based on how often it is compounded, and we have semi-annually, and that's going to be twice a year. So I need a 2 in both places, and once you put the first one in, then it's automatically going to put the second one in for you. Now to solve, I arrow the calculator cursor back up to what I'm looking for, and I am looking for future value. To get it to solve this, I use the green alpha key and then click enter. That gives me the green solve, and there's my answer, negative $2,339. It's exactly the same calculation that I got when I used the calculator here. Now notice it's negative, and that's because this is based on if I was trying to come up with your net worth. Future value of an investment would be negative to you. It's not money that you have in hand right now. That's why it's calculated as a negative. But of course in MATLAB you would put $2,339.72 because we would round to pennies. So now that we've gone through, let me show you some other examples that you can look at and pause the video and try these yourself. These are some problems that we did in our online class today. In my face-to-face class, we did these investments. The principal for all of these is $500. And then I have varied how many times we're compounding. If it's monthly, that's 12. If it's quarterly, that's 4. If it's daily, that is 365. And then if it's continuously, we have a different formula, and that's not something we can do with our time value of money that we're working with right now. And that is A equals our principal times E raised to the exponent of the rate times the time. And of course, with the formula, your rate would need to go back to a decimal. So I've put in red these calculations. Now let's go through and see what happens with our calculator. So I'm going to arrow back up to the beginning. Now remember that N is our exponent. So here I've got 12 times 5. So my N is going to be 60. My rate is 4. I am investing $500. We're not doing payments. We're not doing annuities. We're looking for future value, or A, accumulated amount. So that'll be a 0. Now I need to change how many times we're paid per year, how many times it's compounded. Since this is monthly, I put in the 12. And you see that the second one also changes to 12. And always make sure that you have, for the calculations we'll do in this course, make sure end is what's highlighted. If it's begin is highlighted, then change that to end, so you'll be getting the same exact numbers that we're getting. Now to calculate, I arrow back up to future value, do alpha, enter, and there's my number. And I round to pennies. That's $610.50. So I'm going to let you work through all of these. You can stop the video, make sure you understand how to use the calculator. These steps are the same each time when all we're doing is finding the future value. But let's look at another example to see how we can use this in even other ways. So let's suppose we have seen a recent study that found the average cost of college to be $34,402 per year. If that cost increases by 5.1% each year, so when we see percent, we know we have a rate. Each year, since it's increasing each year, that means it is compounding each year. So our N is equal to 1. We're talking about a time of 11 years, so our time equals 11. And the present value, this is the present value of attending college. So I put it in the formula. Now let's go to our calculator. Now our N will be the years times how often it's compounded. And since it's done annually, all we have here is 11. My interest rate is 5.1. And remember, we put our interest rate in the app without changing it to a decimal. My present value is 34402. We don't know what our future value is. We'll change that to a 0. We are compounding annually, so that will be a 1, and that will be a 1. Arrow back up to the quantity that you want to calculate, and we want to calculate future value. Choose alpha, enter, and there's our amount. And when we round that, we will have this amount. Because in Part B, how much money should be put in a savings plan which offers 4.2% compounded quarterly to pay for college 11 years from now? So this amount here is the future value. This is what we're trying to get saved. So that goes there for A. What we don't know is the principal. Remember that that principal can also be referred to as the present value. So let's go into our, and let's see, let's make sure we notice that it is compounded quarterly. Quarterly here. There's my exponent. So my n is going to be 4 times 11. Let me arrow up to n. And I'm just going to put that calculation in there, 4 times 11, and close my parenthesis and let my calculator do the work there. If I do it correctly. There we go. And enter. And you see it did the calculation for me. My rate is now 4.2. My present value I do not know. That's what we're trying to figure out. How much do we need to deposit in an account today to end up with this future value of, and we don't want it to be negative, we want it to be positive. So I'm going to retype it as 59458, and I'm just doing to the penny, so 45. This savings plan compounds quarterly, so that means we need 4 pays per year, which means it's compounded 4 times a year. Now I am looking for my present value. So I arrow back up to present value, do alpha, enter, and the present value is $37,550.49. That's how much money we would need to put into this savings plan so that we would have the $59,458 in 11 years to pay for college. So hopefully this has helped you understand how you can use a calculator to check these sorts of problems or to work these sorts of problems in a little more efficient, quicker way. Be sure to contact me if you have any questions.